All right, let's talk about the end of the year. For a lot of us, that means it's time for the annual review. But what if we could swap out all that pressure and self-criticism for some real clarity and calm? Well, today we're going to break down a really powerful template from Alex Nitze that helps you do exactly that. I mean, does this question hit home for you? You know that feeling where you have to tally up all your achievements, stare your shortcomings in the face, and then just force yourself to do better next year. Yeah, it's super common, and honestly, it can turn what's supposed to be a helpful reflection into just another source of stress. And this right here, this is the big shift in mindset we're talking about. Instead of judging your year, which just creates tension, this whole method is about understanding it. The goal isn't to get a grade or a score, it's to get clarity. It's about starting the new year feeling grounded and knowing yourself a little bit better. So here's our roadmap for this little explainer. First, we'll talk about the problem with year-end reviews. Then we'll introduce this different approach. We'll walk through the 5-step energy audit, see how it works with a real example, and finally, we'll unpack why this whole thing leads to way better decisions.
Okay, first up, let's really dig into the problem. Why do these reviews so often feel like we're just carrying this huge weight on our shoulders? Well, it usually comes down to these three things, right? We get stuck in this cycle of being our own worst critic. We pile on all this pressure to somehow magically transform on January 1st, and we end up making this forced list of wins that, if we're being honest, doesn't even feel that meaningful. It's just exhausting. So let's totally flip the script. We are moving away from that exhausting model. This is all about changing our perspective, from judgment to genuine, honest-to-goodness understanding. And this quote just captures the new approach perfectly. I love this. Think of it like having a quiet, honest chat with yourself. There are no points to score. There's no one you have to impress. The only thing you're trying to do is see your year and yourself a little more clearly. So how do we actually do this? Let's get into the heart of the template, the 5-step energy audit. This is your practical guide to actually finding that clarity we've been talking about. So here they are, the 5 steps we're going to walk through. First, you create an energy map. Then you reflect on what you learned about yourself. After that, you do a systems check. Then you decide what to leave behind. And finally, you boil it all down into one powerful insight. Okay, step 1 is the energy map. Instead of asking, what did I achieve, you're going to ask, what gave me energy and what drained it? This is such a game changer because energy, that's a much better indicator of what's actually sustainable for you than just a simple list of your successes. Step 2 is all about self-knowledge. And look, forget about listing skills for your resume. We're asking deeper questions here, like, how do you really handle pressure? When do you procrastinate? In what kind of environment do you actually thrive? It's like you're trying to understand your own personal operating system. Now, step 3 is the systems check. And what's so cool about this is the idea of friction. Just look at the systems in your life, your work, how you learn, how you rest. If you had to use constant force or guilt or just sheer willpower to make something happen, well, that wasn't a system. That was just friction. Then we have step 4, which is all about letting go. You know, a powerful review isn't just about what you're going to add next year, but what you're willing to subtract. So ask yourself, what old expectations or habits are you ready to just leave behind? Because you have to create space to move forward with any kind of real intention. And finally, step 5. This is so powerful. Before you even think about setting a single goal, you distill your entire year of reflection into one sentence. You complete the phrase, "This year taught me that." And that one insight, that becomes your North Star. It's the filter you'll use to make decisions in the year ahead. All right, these steps sound pretty great in theory, but what does this whole thing actually look like when you do it? Let's walk through a completed example. We'll pretend it's for the year 2025. So here's the example energy map. You can see things like deep work and one-on-one conversations were energizing. But juggling too many projects and constantly switching contexts, major drains. See how clear that is? It's not about what's good or bad. It's just about what fuels you versus what depletes you. Next up, the systems check. And notice the raw honesty here. The work system is just partially working, decision-making is reactive, and rest is weak, meaning it just kind of happens by accident, not by design. And again, this isn't about judging yourself. It's a diagnosis. It's just data. So after going through all those steps, this is the one big insight that came out of it. I don't need more effort. I need simpler systems and clearer priorities. How powerful is that? That single sentence gives you such a clear direction for the next year. Fewer commitments, better structure, and just more space to breathe. Okay, so let's wrap this all up by looking at why this energy-based, insight-driven method is so darn effective. Why does it actually lead to better decisions? It really just boils down to these four things. It totally removes self-judgment from the picture. It replaces that vague pressure to be better with real, tangible clarity. It transforms simple reflection into an insight you can actually use. And maybe most importantly, it gives you a calm, centered place to start the new year from. And if you take only one thing away from this whole explainer, please let it be this. A truly effective review isn't about aggressively pushing yourself forward. It's about grounding yourself in the reality of who you are and what you really need. Because at the end of the day, grounded decisions are always better decisions. So, before you rush off to plan your next year, just take a quiet moment. Look back on your year through this new lens and ask yourself this question. What's the one insight your year taught you?